6:47, time now for the morning rush. The woman who took over the Department for Children, Youth and Families is explaining how she plans to address the multitude of problems the agency is facing. CYFD Secretary Teresa Casado says she believes the solutions start with prevention, which is why she's bolstered support for families struggling with situations that could lead to abuse or neglect.
The founder of the Safe Haven Baby Boxes is touting the success of that program. This comes after a third child was recently surrendered. Last week, the baby was placed in the baby box in Hobbs. That was for about 2 minutes before being attended to. Since 2017, 58 infants across the country have been surrendered using those devices.
Bernalillo County District Attorney Sam Bregman is launching his campaign for governor. Bregman began his political career as a member of the Albuquerque City Council from 1995 to 1999 and later served as chair of the state Democratic Party. Bregman plans to formally announce his candidacy this afternoon in Las Vegas. Ryan.
Above normal temperatures are ahead. Now, Roswell, next couple days, actually a little bit cooler compared to yesterday's 88, but then Saturday, warming up very close to 100 degrees. Albuquerque, 88 degrees on Saturday, likely breaking a daily record, and 80s widespread at Farmington, Santa Fe, and Gallup. We'll start to cool off, though, after that.
The community is now remembering a teen who passed away on a fishing trip to Cochiti Lake. At the end of March, Owen Pagano passed away after a drowning accident. Pagano attended Cleveland High School and was on the junior varsity baseball team last year. A GoFundMe has now been set up for the family.
A judge has ruled that the man charged with murdering his family in their Tijeras home will be held at a mental health hospital after being declared incompetent to stand trial. Adelaide Mestre is accused of killing his father, Raimundo, his mother, Bertha, and 17-year-old sister, Brielle, in October. His competency will be reviewed at a later date.
The state of New Mexico is now weighing whether or not to retry a former APD officer after his case ended in a mistrial once again. For the second time in a year, a judge has declared a mistrial for former officer Kenneth Skeens. It's after he arrested a disabled man at the Target on Coors near Paseo del Norte in 2022. The state has 2 weeks to decide if they will try Skeens for a third time. Ryan.
And not quite as cold this morning. Temperatures in the mid to upper 40s, a little bit on the chilly side of things, though. And from these 40-degree morning temperatures will warm up well into the lower 80s today. Will be even warmer after tomorrow and with record high temperatures ahead.
Albuquerque Fire Rescue is partnering with a local nonprofit to help bridge the gap between their personnel and patients with autism. The Hero Bags contain noise-canceling headphones to reduce overwhelming sounds and a whiteboard to give nonverbal patients a way to communicate. AFR and Elevate the Spectrum says Hero Bags create a more inclusive environment for neurodivergent people in crisis.
Happening tomorrow, a Las Cruces museum is set to unveil a new scientific resource to the public. New Mexico Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum says its moon tree was one of the hundreds of pine tree seeds that went on NASA's Artemis mission in 2022. It's where it orbited the moon. The tree will now be unveiled to the public tomorrow from 10:30 in the morning until 12:30.
An Albuquerque restaurant that was nearly forced to close its doors for good is celebrating a major milestone. This morning in 2020, KRQE spoke with Myra Gaddis, who owns the Slate Street Cafe in downtown Albuquerque, as she closed up shop, forced to let go of 80 employees. Now, on the heels of the cafe's 20th anniversary, Gaddis says return of the cafe's dinner expansion will help the business thrive. Ryan.
And taking a look at traffic, maps are clear. No major accidents, no slowdowns. Just a little bit busy right now around the Big I. Taking a look at Tracker heading east on I-40 near 6th Street. We do notice some of those cars on the roadways, but smooth sailing traffic on this Thursday morning.
Kansas Zoo is now welcoming a baby girl chimpanzee. The Sedgwick County Zoo in Wichita says she was born via a planned C-section to mother Mahale. The newborn chimp was named Kianza after a peak in the Mahale Mountains National Park in Tanzania. It was already the 4th birth for Mahale. That's a growing family there.
Very cute. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now it's time for the 5 facts.
At number 5, a Las Cruces museum set to unveil a new scientific resource to the public. New Mexico Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum says that its moon tree was one of the hundreds of pine tree seeds that were sent on NASA's Artemis 1 mission. That's where it orbited the moon. Farm and Ranch was just one of the places across the country to receive one of the seeds last year. Now, a year later, the museum says that it has not noticed any impact that the space trip may have had on the tree It's going to be unveiled to the public tomorrow at 10:30.
And number 4, a community is remembering a boy who passed away on a fishing trip to Cochiti Lake. At the end of March, Owen Pagano passed away after a drowning accident. Pagano attended Cleveland High School and was on the junior varsity baseball team last year. At a gathering last night, his family and friends said he was a light who was constantly smiling and cracking jokes. A GoFundMe has been set up for the family.
And at number 3, temperatures on the rise ahead. A few records very possible today in southwestern New Mexico in the high 80s and low 90s elsewhere. It'll be a little bit cooler in eastern New Mexico, a bit warmer in western New Mexico. But after today, temperatures on the rise tomorrow and Saturday.
At number 2, the state of New Mexico is weighing whether or not to retry a former Albuquerque police officer after his case ended in a mistrial once again. For the second time in a year, a judge has declared a mistrial for former APD officer Kenneth Skeens after he arrested a disabled man at the Target on Coors near Paseo del Norte in 2022. During this latest trial, Skeens spoke to the jury, saying the store had authorized him to confront McManus. Yesterday, jurors failed to agree on a verdict, saying more time would not help with their decision. The state has 2 weeks to decide on another trial.
And at number 1, the woman who took over the Department of Children, Youth and Families is explaining how she plans to address the large number of problems that the agency is facing. Lawmakers unleashed on CYFD Secretary Teresa Casados. That was this session over the deaths of children. Casados said that she believes that the solutions start with prevention, which is why she bolstered support for families struggling with situations that could lead to abuse or neglect. CYFD has added 4 family resource centers around the state. Lawmakers did pass a bill which would create another office to oversee CYFD.